Good morning. You would think I'm in a good mood. I'm not in a good mood. I'm not in a good mood. Okay. But at least the sun is sort of trying to come up this morning. So that matters. You know what I mean? So I just sat down. I haven't had the coffee yet. And I was just powering up and I saw these pictures and I remembered that yesterday was May Day. It was Labor Day, I guess all over the world. No, I'm not sure that, I don't recall in America having these May Day experiences that happen here in France. And so I think the French and the Europeans probably take May Day a lot more seriously. Our Labor Day is in September too, right? It's not like in May, but in May they go a little bit nuts. And I, I remember the first year I was here, I had no idea something like this was possible. And I was in the middle of Paris at a restaurant, and you know, an eruption of just violence and craziness and people. I mean, it was literally the first time. It was when I lost my virginity, like my Paris virginity, because it was such a shock to my system and to my psyche that this was even possible, that people could behave like this, or people who in my mind were like just angels and cherubims, and Paris was this like heaven and atmospheric and just, oh my god, croissants and a glass of wine and the Seine River and just all of this, just like Paris was this very idealized thing in my mind. And people in Paris were just fashion and beautiful in the language, and oh my god. And then May Day happened and I was at this restaurant on Boulevard Saint Michel and near the fountain Saint Michel, and there was just a sudden burst of people and rage and throwing things and screaming, and I don't think I had ever been so petrified in my life, and I've never forgotten it. I avoid May Day, mid midtown outings since that time, because it's predictable that people are going to act out, and so I avoid it. But apparently yesterday was particularly violent, and so I'm just powering up and I'm seeing this, and I thought to myself, oh my god, well, at least King Charles, my god, at least King Charles had the good sense to say USA. He had the good sense to put his coronation on May 6th, even though it's pretty close to May Day, because people just go nuts on in the beginning of May, on May 1st. And in France and certainly in Paris, they really, really go nuts. But there are other parts of the world, like in Asia and so on, where people are also becoming increasingly violent and increasingly outspoken about their rights, and willing to take it to the streets and revolt and just be workers' rights. When people work, they should be paid for their work and things like that. And they should be paid a fair wage. They should be paid a living wage. People should be able to live, for Christ's sake. And so on and so forth. So I basically um came on, powered up, and I saw that, and I immediately thought of King Charles's coronation, and I thought to myself, what what would he do if people started to act out? I guess that's why the British sovereign is advised to avoid politics because, you know, if the king was even a little bit political, he could definitely face some issues during his coronation. But also, I think it's good for England that the English, what you call it, the English DNA is different from the French DNA because the French DNA, I think they're more prone to violence. You see, they're quicker, especially the men, but even some of the women. Um, they're a lot quicker to get violent, and they have a very revolutionist idea or ideal or worldview. They don't accept nonsense at all for themselves. um you can take your nonsense to somebody else, no problem, but not for them. They don't take it, and they get on the streets in mobs and masses, and they do a lot of collateral damage in minutes. So here they're protesting the pension laws, but every year there's something that they're not happy with. So they use May Day. Um, they use May Day as a way to protest their displeasure about many different things. That all being said, the only good thing is that Charles and Camilla are here for it. I mean, they are here for it. Why does this keep happening? They are apparently, according to the Mirror, they have earmarked 250 million pounds. I don't even know how much that is in US dollars. Okay, I'm not a mathematician, but 250 million pounds just for security. It's not as much as the crown. I mean, the crown cost, put in 2 seconds, I'm going to say something so obscene if this continues that it's not even going to be funny. So 250 million pounds for security, which is nothing compared to Rasclat. Rasclat to Iraq. Okay. Um I can't do this anymore with this stupid computer. Um so Charles and Camilla have earmarked $250 million for their security. And that, oh my God, oh fuck. That was inappropriate. Please excuse me. But I'm not monetized here on YouTube anyway, so it really, I guess, I still shouldn't cuss. I shouldn't cuss. It's just, I get to the point where I can't even, I cannot control it anymore. How many times do I have to take the word wait off of my screen in any given 5-minute duration, for God's sakes? Anyway, so yes, as I said, are you subscribed to my channel yet? I know I cursed. And I mustn't curse if I want to have subscribers, which is bad. It's bad for many different reasons. I should not curse. I understand that, and I'm sorry. It's just, as I said, how many times do I have to remove the word wait in a given duration, an interval of 5 minutes? I mean, come on, right? So I cursed, okay? I cursed. But that that does not mean you shouldn't subscribe to my channel, because I need to grow my channel. And if I had more subscribers, obviously I wouldn't curse anymore, because then I would be afraid to not be monetized. And right now I'm not monetized, so it's okay. But we can't have this, right? We can't have this. Okay, so what was I saying before I was so rudely interrupted? So over there on the other thing, I was talking about the fact that they're paying 250 million pounds, is it, for their security, because otherwise, I mean, what's going to happen on May 6th, As I said, I the British people and the French people, I think, are very, very different. I mean, I think the British people seem to be a lot more passive. I mean, you can see it in many different ways, just the difference in the journalists and people are different, Here, the men are, I think, a lot more hot-blooded, if you will. And some of the women too, as I said. And so they're more inclined to just go completely, just utterly, absolutely 100% nuts. Um, so I don't think that it's the same. You can't sort of look at the same events, the same. You can't look at the two countries in the same way. Still, I think that there is a growing sentiment around the world where young people are inclined to revolution, and they, even with $250 million for security, I mean, I would kind of worry about things, because you have internet, you see what other young people are doing. Eventually it's going to spread, and hopefully they have enough force to stop it. 250 million pounds, it's a lot. And I guess they could bring in some forces from other countries to help out, right? Like the NYPD, for example, might be a good idea. I mean, I don't know. Your thoughts?